is
Okay, so
as
it
such
is
a great
such a great
opportunity to be able to come back
opportunity to be able to come back
and
and
be with you
be
all
with you all
today. Today, I am
today.
talking to Natanya Walker for another episode of Power Talks,
Power
and
Talk.
this
And
topic is
this
something
topic
that
is
I think
something
is
that I think is
um, really, really
it's
important
really, really
because it
important
allows
because
us
it
to really
allows
focus on
us to
something
really
that
focus on
people kind
something
of
that
see
people
as
kind of
negative.
see as negative.
And so we don't want to deal with like negativity. We want to see how we could turn that negative situation into something that is very positive. And so I am Renee Terrell. I'm a marketing and brand strategist, and I help business owners, service providers, and established authors monetize their message, expand their digital brand, and attract their ideal clients with ease using practical, proven strategies that really help you grow your bottom line. And today I'm here talking with none other than Natanya Walker, who is the CEO of the War Group. So, Natanya, go ahead, introduce yourself, let the people know who you are.
Tanya Walker. I am a coach, a trainer, and a facilitator, and I am super excited to be here because, look, when I join you, Renee, for Power Talks, it gives me an opportunity to really think through and to share little tips and techniques like inspirations and words of wisdom to help well, you, I, and everyone who's listening really up their game and really ramp up their power, if you will. So, super excited about today's Power Talk all around the gift of failure. Yeah.
So that's
So,
so good. Oh,
So
that's
that's
so
so
good to talk
good.
about the gift of
That's so
failure,
good to
right?
talk
So
about the
we're
gift
going
of
to jump
failure,
right
right?
into
So
it.
we're gonna jump right into
And
it.
when we think about the
And
gift
when
of
we think
failure,
about the gift of failure,
people always
people
assume that
always assume
failure is they just always assume that failure is just it's the end all be all. There's nothing else. It happened to me, and then it's to stop. When really there's a gift in that. So just let's unpack that, Natalia. Go ahead, tell us how we can see failure as a gift.
failure as a gift.
hey, indeed, I'd love to. But one of the things that we tend to do is we look at failure and success, which is really the opposite of failure, as like two polar opposites. You've got success on one end and you've got failure on the opposite. What if we were to have, say, a paradigm shift and we were to change our perspective as it relates to failure and see it more as a circle or continuum? You see, here's Renee how I see uh, failure and success. I think everything begins with success in our minds. We have a thought, we have an idea, we verbalize it to other people, we even come up with a drawing or a plan. But it all starts as this vision or plan. But we can see the success, we can feel the success. Now, for some people, they start with that vision and immediately, well, they achieve exactly what they set out. But for most, and I do mean most of us, it doesn't happen that way. You see, on that continuum or that circle I'm talking about, after that visualization, the next step, or two, or three, or 10, sometimes 15, 20, are failures. The question is, how do you view the failure? In this life, far too often, we've been taught that failure is something bad. And we've had people, whether it's parents or teachers or whomever, to really scold us for failing. Oh, you didn't sweep well, or that test, you didn't get that right. And so, in our minds, imprinted in our minds, is this notion that whenever we do something wrong, it's bad. And what does that create? Anxiety, stress, regret, shame. All of those negative energies start to formulate within us and it drags us. It's like having an internet that, is really outdated and doesn't work, this long drag, and you see somebody's mouth move in 15 seconds after you hear it or vice versa. That becomes the drag in everything that we do. You see, failure is not bad. Failure's good. Why? Because it teaches us lessons. And for me, I think life is all about the lesson. It's like what I call breadcrumbs. That lesson, once you pick it up, you understand it and unpack it, it leads you to the next and the next and the next until you finish that whole circular motion and achieve what it is you set out. Now, the reality is, if you failed, no shame, no regret, no guilt at all. As a matter of fact, tons of people have failed. When I was doing a little bit of research, I found a few people that were interesting to me that you might want to hear about, and you might find it to be interesting too. The first is Abraham Lincoln. And you go, Natanya, you're going way, way back. But listen to this. What I discovered was that at 21, Abraham Lincoln tried to run for legislative office. Well, I think he started a business. That's what it was, and he lost. He didn't fail, failed. At 22, he ran for legislative office. Didn't work. 24, he's tried to start another business. It tanked. Poor fellow at 26, do you know his sweetheart died, the woman of his dreams? Devastating. At 27, he had a nervous breakdown. At 34, he started another run for office. He failed. At 55, he even tried to run for Senate. He failed. At 47, he tried to run as vice president. No luck. But at 52, he became the president of the United States of America. And we know all of our lives changed as a result of his leadership, of his dedication, of his not giving up on that circle that I've talked about. Now, that's just one example because he was passionate about what he felt. I mean, I could go on and on. You know, there's Walt Disney who was turned down, and we all know about Disney and its successes. But he was really turned down. They thought, dude, you don't have any talent. What are you doing? Get out of the way. And there was this one minister who invited him to come to his church and create a few cartoons. He put them out in a shed, and the shed was infested with mice. Well, you get it. Yeah, he saw the mouse and he started to draw. And Mickey Mouse, look at where we
Mickey
are.
Mouse
We're making
came.
tons of money. Can you believe that, Renee? Just tons of money. So you've got, let's see, that's Walt Disney. You've got Michael Jordan. Okay, let's bring it a little bit forward. Mike was cut from his high school team. Who the heck would cut Michael Jordan? I mean, this guy is said to be, if not the undeniable, undisputable best basketball player of all times. And he was cut. But you know, if you hear Michael's story, Michael talks about the fact that the failures are really what got him to be who he is and to be able to perform as he did. Failure as a gift. See, if we turn failure around and really look at it as Thomas Edison did, you know, Thomas Edison invented what? The light bulb, electricity. I mean, this guy was a genius. He had so many inventions. But what Thomas said was this: I hadn't failed. I just learned 10,000 ways that won't work. If we were to look at failure a little bit differently, just change the paradigm and look at it as the gift or the ways of avoiding obstacles. I mean, why would you go back and repeat the exact same thing? Be it an experience with a loved one? Oh, well, maybe they weren't loved one. You left them. But an experience with someone maybe you dated, or a job, or a project. Why would you do it again and go the same exact route if you know it didn't work? Take it as a lesson.
I
You
like
see,
that,
Renee,
I
Latanya.
like that, Latanya.
yeah, that's the first part of it is really just looking at it as a lesson because who knows?
Right. That that was
Right.
really
That you
good.
know
The
that
the things that you said, especially about all the different examples that you gave us about failure and how people look at it. And what happens if you give up, right? Because a lot of people get to that point, they get to that hard spot and they give up. I've tried this, it doesn't work. I've tried that, it doesn't work. But if it's still bubbling up inside of you and it's like, no, you got to keep going, you got to keep going, you'll recognize that failure is a part of the process. And like you said, Natanya, it teaches us something. With each lesson, we're getting stronger, we're growing in perseverance and strength and determination that I know whatever it is that I'm supposed to do, I have the ability to do it. I just have to go through the process in order to be able to handle that. And Natanya, speak a little bit about the process, like the process of how failure works in the process of success and when it comes to leadership and growth.
Don't think about this whole process in terms of leadership growth. Again, it really goes back to the lessons. And the process is this: every time something fails, stop and examine what happened. And here's what I suggest to you: don't look just on what didn't work, also take time to take stock in what did, because there's always a balance, right? What happens in our minds when those neurotransmitters start focusing only on what failed, we stay there and we stay stuck. The way to get unstuck or create that balance is to look at what worked, or maybe even take the failure and reframe it into a different statement. Instead of, oh, that didn't work, I suck, you're no good. Rather, wow, look at the discovery. Instead of trying it this way, I'll try it this way. Or this did work, but this part didn't. So I think the big thing is it's really simple. It's not anything complex. Renee, I wish I could give you some deep methodology or some complex answer for what you suggested or asked, but it's real simple. It's just simply pulling back, looking at what just happened, clearing the noise, because oftentimes you've got noise, people from the outside who will say to you, it could be a boss, it could be a leader who's saying, I can't believe you haven't done that, you're still showing up late. The project is insufficient, your numbers are not well enough. It could be something happening at home where people are telling you the bills aren't paid and you're not good enough or you're not showing up well. Um, all of those can be drags if you listen to that outside noise. So here's what I suggest you do: really examine, are you, what you've set out, this measure of success or achievement, is it what you really want? Are you really passionate about it? I mean, I gave the example of Abraham Lincoln, but I used it because he stayed on the path toward what he was destined to do. Or Michael Jordan stayed on the path of what he was destined to do. Sometimes that failure can be a sign that you might need to change your course. Are you really passionate about what you do? Because it could be signaling to you that it's time to do something different. Now, many of you have heard about this great resignation that's going on, and what's happening is people are shifting to what they're most passionate about. Doctors, lawyers, people into marketing are going and becoming veterinarians and doing other things with their hands, creative tasks that make them feel good, because they stop listening to the noise either in their head or outside that's telling them that, you're just a failure. Well, maybe what the lesson is telling you about failing is that you're not working in your gift and your true passion. So again, I say to you, stop and look at that failure to figure out, is it, what is the cause of it? And is it because I need to work harder or work different? Or is it because I don't belong? Here's one for you. You take Mark Cuban. Mark is on the Shark Tank. Many of us have seen that show. And he also owns the Dallas Mavericks. Well, I'm told that Mark was fired at practically every job he had. I mean, he couldn't keep a job. And then he finally found his startup. He sold a company and then started another one. The company was so successful. Well, he sold it. I think it was, what was it, Yahoo? So, I mean, when you think about it, these are examples. Now, Mark, by the way, let me see, make sure I get this right. It was acquired by Yahoo. That's what it was. It was acquired by Yahoo. But guess how much? $5.7 million. But this dude was fired. So you call him a failure. Can you imagine what his friends and wives were saying? You can't keep a job, dude. Look at him now, right? Or here's another one that I really like, Brad Pitt. Do you know that Brad Pitt used to be a limo driver? And the fact that he drove strippers around. Who knew? Now, because he wanted to them to take acting lessons, realized that really wasn't where he was supposed to be. You know, he just wasn't showing up the way he was. Maybe he wasn't making enough money or failing somewhere, and he derailed and well went and did what he was supposed to do. Or here's a one or two more. Whoopi Goldberg used to apply makeup at a funeral home parlor. Right, that's what she did. Look at her now; she's won Emmy and Grammys and Oscars. Or here's another one: the Pope Francis. Do you know he used to be a bouncer? Yeah, at a nightclub in Buenos Aires. But failure, when you just know within yourself that what you're doing is not aligned with who you choose to be as a leader, as a person. Sometimes we fail not because we're not good enough. And, in your office, in your place of business, you may feel like things aren't going wrong and you're not getting it right. It could be that you do need to dig in and work harder, that you need to learn ways to be more timely or more efficient or better organized. It may be that you need to learn your industry a little bit more. And it very well could be that you're in the place that's not, doesn't bring you as much joy as you'd like. So I would say, Renee, pull back, look at the failure, examine it, and really, really, really figure out, do you continue on this circular motion or do you close your eyes, come up with a totally new vision, and start the process all over again?
I think those are some great tips and
Great
great
tip.
examples, and quite surprising as well with the Pope being a bouncer. That's really interesting. Who knew? But I think that you just brought up so many great points. And at the end of the day, when we're looking at failure, the biggest takeaway is that it's a lesson. And if you learn from the lesson, then you don't have to repeat that. You graduate to the next lesson. And it's kind of like the statement that says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And so when you fail, look at what it is and see, how can I pivot? How can I turn into doing something that I really know I'm supposed to do? Or how do I need to change my process in order to really kind of go in the area where I need to? And that's one of the things that I help people do, is look at their process, look at their strategy, and figure out how to pivot. Where do you need to make changes to expand and achieve the goals that you want to achieve? But Natanya is an amazing coach, inspirational, motivational, but knowledgeable. Has run in high circles in Fortune 500 companies and has led thousands of people, continues to be a leader, and she focuses on and deals with leaders, helping you understand the journey, whether you want to become a leader or you already are a leader and you're moving up into a new role with more and more authority, more influence, and how to manage that shifting situation. Natanya is your person. So, Natanya, tell everybody a little bit about what you do and how they can find you.
Thank you, Renee, and thank you for those wonderful words. Indeed, I work with leaders, both those who are starting their career and who have been there for a while, to helping you to discover your greatness. Working through challenges and roadblocks that just appear out of nowhere. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you are a leader and you're successful. But it's those little bitty junctures in life that can derail us or stall us. That's what I'm here for. I help individuals to go inside, to get rid of the chatter, and get on with being the great leader that they are. Um, Often it's through processes, it's through self-talk, it's through exercises to help you better manage your life, better manage your teams, uh, figure out how you're showing up. I think that's another thing, Michelle, Renee, forgive me, that we often uh, get out of sync in, is how we're appearing to others. We know how we feel like we're showing up, but do we understand how others see us? So we take somewhat of a 360 assessment to examine what's going on currently, where you choose to be, and where's the gap in between. And my job is to help you discover how to close that gap so that you can get on producing more clients, more revenue, more productivity, having teams that are extremely successful, but most of all, experiencing the leadership journey that you desire.
Well, thank you, Natanya,
Well, thank
again
you,
for
Natanya,
coming
again
on
for coming
today
on.
and sharing with us Power Talks, talking about the gift of failure. And if you want to reach out to Natanya again, you can find her at thewargroup.com. And if you want to reach out to me, again, my name is Renee Terrell at Renee Motivates. And it has just been a pleasure to be able to share again just some tips, some tricks, just some little things that you need to help you walk in a more successful and powerful way as you show up in the world. And as I remind everybody, you have a responsibility to place your stamp on the world because if you don't do it, no one else will. So until next time, thank you for joining us. And thank you, Nataya.
Hey, always enjoy being here. Thank you, Renee.